Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to rabbiforme.org. We're sitting here in Chabad of Temecula. This is actually my house. We have beautiful people from the local community here. We have lots of people watching live, and welcome. Last week, January 1st, the 22 states in America raised the minimum wage to over $10 an hour. This made headlines in many of the newspapers, and as you know, Rabbi For Me, we try to keep things relevant. The question that I'm going to ask, I have two questions for you today. Number one, what is the Torah perspective on minimum wage? Should there be a limit on how much an employer must pay his employees? Question number two, where does it talk about it in this week's parsha? We all know that you should live with the times. That is a saying from the first Chabad Rebbe. Living with the times means that you should learn the weekly Torah portion in the Chumash that we have over here and make relevant. Find out how it is, what it has to do with the current events.
Yeah.
First, I'm going to read a verse. This is chapter 5, verse number 6. On that day, Paro ordered the taskmasters over the people and its guards, saying, "You shall not continue to give straw to the people, to make the bricks as yesterday and the day before yesterday. Let them go and gather straw for themselves." Very clear. In Egypt, there was no minimum wage. Not only did the Pharaoh not give the people food to eat, he didn't even give them their own straw to build the pyramids for him. So obviously in Egypt there was no minimum wage, and that is something that's very relevant, and there are even Jewish laws learned out of this verse. As far as the minimum wage, if you open up the Talmud Bavli to page 87a, you will find that there's a long discussion about something called ona'ah, which means cheating. Cheating means, in Jewish law, that any time where someone overpaid or underpaid more than 1/6, which is 20%, even though you'll tell me that 1/5 is 20%, but it's including the 20%. So it's 20%, which is 1/6. Any time that someone overpays or underpays by more than 1/6, they can go back on the deal. For example, if I go to the store and buy a computer mouse, let's say, for $10, and then I find out that I could buy the same computer mouse for $5, that means that whoever sold me that mouse sold me for 50% more than I should have paid for it. I can return it and say, that's called cheating, you take it back. Likewise, if he sold it for $5 and then found out that the market value was really $10, so he can come over to me and say, well, it's really worth $10, and I was tricked into thinking that it was worth less. Give me my money back and I'll give you the mouse, or give me the mouse back and I'll give you the money. However, if it's less than 1/6, meaning that I bought, let's say, a microphone for $100, and then found out that, and realized that I could have paid $90 for it, that's less than 1/6, and even though I was overcharged by $10, the sale is still valid. Comes to the question, what about labor? Does labor fall into the same category? If I could find someone to flip burgers for $5 an hour, if someone's time, if the minimum wage, the going rate for people's time is $10 an hour, and I can find someone at $5 an hour to flip burgers at my Burger King, is that called cheating? Am I cheating that person and giving him less than his time is actually worth? But the answer, what the Talmud rules, is that there is no minimum wage. There are certain things, including real estate and labor, that do not fall in, that do not have these restrictions of cheating, or ainoa in Hebrew. Real estate doesn't have, the rule of cheating doesn't apply, because real estate, just by the name real estate, because it's something that's real, it has much more, it always has the potential to increase exponentially in value, so people will overpay for a piece of property. Labor, the reason why the reason why there is no minimum wage is because if someone is willing to work for $5 an hour, even though everybody else will not do the same job, they won't work for less than 10. That means that obviously this guy is very desperate, and if he's willing to work for $5 an hour, that is what he doesn't feel cheated. Everybody, have a wonderful week. If you're on Google+, you can tell me what you think about this. Have a wonderful week, and Shabbat Shalom.